Hello everyone, welcome to online learning. Today's topic is recursion in Java. Today we will discuss about the following points of Java. First we will discuss what is recursion, then how it's different from loop, some special features of recursion, and how to implement the recursion. Next, what is recursion? Recursion is a technique by which any method can call itself within its body. That means what? A method can call itself within the block of this method itself. That means method will call from within the block of the method. Let's have a look about this simple sample code about recursion. First, in square box, this is known as prototype. Next one is base case, and else part, the method will call itself within its body. Recursion is a very simple things. As per ISC syllabus, near about 15 marks will get from this recursion portion or recursion part, maximum. Either we'll get one output or one program in section B will get from this recursion part. So int factorial int n is a parameter. First line of the method is a prototype. First we need to set a base case. If the base case is satisfied, then no further iteration is there. Very simple things. All we know loop. Loop means iteration. Same iteration will perform with help of recursion as well. But in recursion, give us some special facilities by which we can solve any difficult problem easily. So let me explain about this program with help of Java. So same code is written here. Now if explain this one, suppose in factorial int n, if I set a debugger here by compiling it, class compiled, no syntax error. Debugger is set in this condition. Now, if the value of this input is given by the user is 4, what happened? Let's check. This one is the very important one. N equal to 4, condition is not satisfied. Directly this highlighted line will move into the else part. And else part method will call itself within its body. But we wrote here n into factorial n minus 1. That means 4 into factorial n minus 1. That is, method now call itself by 3, and in this debugger box you can find out this call sequence will increase one by one, because when method will call itself within its body, each and every time it needs a fresh memory. It's generate a fresh memory. What do you mean by this fresh memory? We'll discuss about this fresh memory when we'll discuss how we differ the loop and recursion. Now, if I click in next step, again it will move this n. Now the value of n became 3. condition is not satisfied. If you concentrate, you can find out there one more call sequence is added here. Then again, now it is called for 2, 1. Now the value of n became 0. You can see in this variable portions of the debugger box as well. Now the value of n became 0, condition is satisfied. What this method will return? This method will return at a point 1. After that, we can find out how many call sequences are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, total 5 call sequence. Now, if I click on the next steps, we can find out that again it will go to the line n into factorial n minus 1, and continuously it will blinking there and it will calculate the result of this. How this one is calculated there. When I click on the next steps again and again, it will not move any portion. We can see there continuously return n into factorial n minus 1 is blinking there. Why it is blinking there? Why it is not moved to any other part of this program? And in this box you can find out that result is 24. All we know that factorial of 4 is 24. So definitely some different features or special features which we can use when we can use this recursion. Which one is this features? Which features? Where this yellow line is blinking again and again. And the why n equal to 0? Because as per mathematics, factorial of n will return 0. Next, we'll directly reach to the difference between loop and recursion. Have a look about this picture. This is the main difference, or we can say this is the main structural difference. What it is? Like loop also used for iteration, recursion also used for iteration. But in loop, I equal to 1, I less than 5, I plus plus. So the value of I is 1, then it's use a memory allocation. One memory allocation, let me assume that this square box is this memory portion. So when the value of I is 1, this is 1. When the value of I became 2, then this 2 is assigned in this same box. So there is no use of this 1. That means 1 is not there. By 2 it's overwritten. Then when the value of I is 3, the same memory locations is being used again and again in case of loop. But in case of recursion, what happened? The previous program, what I told you earlier, that when the value of n is 4, first condition is false. So 4 into fact 3. That means in this portion, one fresh memory is allocated. So 4 into fact 3, this statement can hold there. And 4 is waiting for the result of fact 3. By this way, when it will call itself for 3, then 3 also wait for the result of fact 2. When it is called by 2, 2 also wait for fact 1. 1 also wait for the result of fact 0. But when n became 0, it will return 1. This method will return 1. So each and every location, that means each and every time when method call itself, it's occupy a memory space each and every time. That means whenever we call the method itself each and every time, that means 4 into fact 3, 1 memory is there, 3 into fact 2, 2 into fact 1, 1 into fact 0 also memory is there. But when the base case is being satisfied, no further iteration is there. And what this method finally returns? Method is return 1. So 1 is waiting for the result of 1. So that's why 1 into 1, 1. Then fact1 also return 1, then 2 into, what is the result of fact1? What is the result of this fact1? The result of this fact1 also 1. Now what is the result of this fact2? 2 into 1, 2. Now what is the result of this fact3? 3 into 2, 6. What is the result of this fact4? 4 into 6, 24. This is the way the recursion will work. And main structural difference, we can say, loop can run infinite times. What do you mean by this infinite time? Infinite times means loop will never end. If I write I equal to 1, I greater than equal to 0, I plus plus, loop will continue. But if I implement the same logic in recursion, we'll get that array out of bounds. Because each and every time it's generate the phrase memory, one time where this variable is located, full set of this memory will occupied and it will show no memory space. That means each and every memory space we know that it is known as an array, so array out of bound will get. And also we have few special features by which we can easily differ the recursion from the loop. As a learner, always in front of us, recursion means it's create a panic. But thing is not like that. We need to give a closer view to this recursion. We need to create the friendship with this recursion. Because in others concept, the complex problem is bigger, but if we know recursion, if we are able to implement the recursion, the code is very small then. So let me explain the special features with help of some example. This one is the code, example 1. Previous example we can use in prototype int, here we are using void. Previously we used the term return, but in case of void no need to use this return term. Now if I compile this program and set a debugger here, if n equal to 0, again this is a base case. And if I give the value of n this 4, easily you can identify what result we will get. 4, condition is not satisfied, that means base case is not satisfied. It will move on to the else part. By n, that means by 4 it will print. Then test minus minus n, the value of n became 3 and it will call itself within its body. Then by 3, by 2, by 1. When it will print by 1, then again n minus minus 0 condition is satisfied. Then it will print star. Then program is end. So for what purpose we are using this println? This is the another example program by which we can easily understand the concept of this phrase memory. So already debugger we set. Now if I give an input as 4, very important one, condition is not satisfied, system.out print ln by n. So output window will be there. Check here, we'll get by 4. Then yellow mark is highlighted within this test method will call itself. If we click there, then again condition is not satisfied. Move on to the else part. By 3 it will print, then it will print by 2, then it will print by 1. Now minus 1, that means it has become 0, condition is satisfied, then it will print 1 star. Let's have a look about this. Star is printed there and we have this n. So now still next option is there, and we can find out already this yellow mark is highlighted out of this else block. In Java, all we know, if we came out from the block, we are not able to enter there. But in case of recursion, we are able to do it. Why? Because whenever method will call itself each and every time, one fresh memory is being generated there, and this will resume again and again. So now if I click on the next steps, you can find out this yellow mark is being highlighted to system.out.println. So what value it will print? Just tell me what is the last value of this n. Can you remember the last value of this n? The n was 0 there because minus n. So we can find out 0 is printed there. Again it will move out from the block. See that this portion, highlighted portion. If I click on the next steps, again it will move on to this system.out.println. Before 0 the value of 1 is there, then 2 is there. Before that the value of n is 3, and finally we'll get result. Now one question is definitely come in your mind. So why 4 is not printed? Because when we'll call this test first time, it is called with 3, it's not called with 4. That's why. So 3 is stored there. So 3, 2, 1, 0. Lastly we have 0, that's why it is started from 0. So this is the special features of recursion. We have to give our full concentration there and utilize this special concept as well. Before move on to this example program as per ISC syllabus, we need to look few output using recursion. Like prime number. Prime number in loop, we can know how we can solve it. But in case of recursion, we need two input. Int prime, int n is the actual number, and p. Mind it, always we need to send the value of this p from main function or whenever we call this method as 2. Because 2 is the first prime number. That means according to this code, if n is prime, then it will return 1. If n is not prime, then it will return 0. Let me explain with the value of n is 5. If n is 5, and always mind it, this is the supportive variable, always from main function or whenever we call this method, the value of p always we need to send as 2. So if n is 5, 5 equal to 2, condition is not satisfied. 5 mod 2 and n equal to 1, this condition also not satisfied. 5 is still fixed there. Then p plus 1, p became 3, method will call itself. This condition is not satisfied, second condition also not satisfied, then it will move on to this third condition, p plus 1, p became 4. By this way, p will reach to 5, and when n equal to p, then it will return 1. That means 5 is a prime number. But in case of 8, what happened? In case of 8, first 8, n is 8, p we need to send as 2, first condition is not satisfied. In else if part, n mod 2 equal to 0, this condition is satisfied and it will return 0. That means 8 is not a prime number. If I give 1, first condition is not satisfied, but in second condition or is there, so n equal to 1, it will return 0. By this way, we can find out the prime number. Next one, sum of digit. What do you mean by this sum of digit? Suppose if I enter 123, will get 6. You can see here class name is sum of digit. Int digit prototype is there. Suppose the value of n is given by the user is 123, and 1 is a digit, 2 is a digit, 3 is a digit. We need to add them. See, only one variable we are using throughout the program. You can see only one variable we are using. We are not used any other variable. But if I want to do the same things with the help of loop, then we have to use another variable. So let me explain this one. When the value of n is 123, first condition is not satisfied, it will move on to the else part and return n mod 10 plus. N mod 10 means n mod 10, 123 mod 10. What we'll get? We'll get 3. Then plus, add digit, method will call itself 123 by 10. It will return 12 there. Again condition is not satisfied. That means in first memory location, 3 is waiting for the result of add digit 12. Then condition is not satisfied. 12 mod 10. 12 mod 10 is 2. 2 plus add digit 12 by 1. It will send 1 there. Condition is not satisfied. Then in else part, 1 mod 10. 1 mod 10 will return 1. So 1 also wait for the result of n by 10. That means 1 by 10 as per the integer, it will return 0. So base case is satisfied, it is 0. So in first memory locations, 1 is waiting for the result of 0, 0 plus 1, 1. 2 is waiting for the result of 1. So it is 1, 2 plus 1, it's 3. 3 is waiting for the result of 12. That means 1 plus 2, it is 3. So 3 plus 3, 6. By this way, we can find out the sum of digit using recursion. And see, only input variable we are using. We are not use the other variable. Why we able to do it? Because when method call itself within its body, each and every time it's stored in a fresh memory location. And again and again I repeat, this one is the main features. If we able to understand this one, easily we can solve any kind of problem. Now, what type of questions we'll get in ISC? Part 2, section B, 3 programs you will get. Out of this 3 program, 1 program definitely you will get from this recursion part. If you give your concentration in this program, you can find out that we have to design a class named as perfect. Data members is there. That means all the 3 programs you will get from constructor. So data members is there. First, parameterized constructor we have to create where the value of nn is assigned to num. Then we have to find out the sum of factors and we have to return using recursive technique. Then void check and main function also we have to define. If I want to solve this problem, how we can solve? We'll discuss about this program with marks division as well. Please concentrate here. As per the instructions, class name is perfect. After class block, if I declared a variable, this is data members. Class name and method name is same, this is constructor. Assigning the value of nn to num. We observe basically in questions it is instruction is given assign the value of the parameterized constructor to num. Most of the time we can find out students are write their n equal to num, but we have to assign the inputted constructor value to the data members. So we have to write num equal to nn. Next one is the method by which we can adding, by which we are going to add the digit, add the factors or sum of the factors we are going to present here. Int sum of factors, int I equal to num, mind it, I equal to num. So if separately I want to perform the tasks of this one input we need as num n and int I is a supportive variable. What is the value of this I? Always the value of I is 1. Like previous example, if you recall about this prime number, there also we are giving the value of the supportive variable as 2. So here I is 1. So 1, if the value of this num from the user is given as 6, because 6 is a perfect number. Why 6 is a perfect number? Because if I add the factors of this 6, what are the factors of this 6 apart from the number? 1, 2 and 3. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. It's same as the number. So this is the features of perfect number. So this one how we implement in this recursive technique, or how we can implement this concept using recursion. So num is the input. If it is 6 and I, what I told it is 1, when the value of I is 1 it will return 0. Else if num mod I, so first I is 1, yes, 6 mod I equal to 0, condition is satisfied. I is 1, 1 plus sum of factors, will calling this method itself with the value of 2. Then again condition is not satisfied. This else if condition is satisfied because 6 mod 2 condition is satisfied. So 1 is wait there, 1 plus, then it will return 3. That means with this code what we are doing, this else if and else, in else if part the factor is wait. Like first 1 is wait for the sum of factors of 2, that means when we call it's by 2, then 2 is wait, what we told earlier, and this one only increase the value. That means I is starting from 1, 2 1 is there, 2 is there, 3 is there. But when the value of I became 4, first condition, second condition is not satisfied, it will move on to the else part. Why it is move on to the else part? Because 6 mod 4 condition is not satisfied. So it will move on to this else part. 4 plus 1, it's became 5. 5 also, first condition, second condition not satisfied, in else part it will come 6. This condition is satisfied, it will return 0. Now we start resuming from this location. First 1 is stored there, 2 is stored there, and lastly stored there 3. So what happened? When the condition is satisfied, it will return 0, 3 plus 0, 3, 3 plus 2, 5, and again 2, 5 plus 1, 6. So as per the question, constructor is created, another method, what they told, this one also being done. After that, as per the question, they told to create another method which is void check, and if you have a look whether it's a perfect number or not. Num, if num equal to sum of factors 1, what I told, always we need to give this, the value of this I is 1. So it is 1, and from there what it will return? From there it will return 6, num also 6, then it's a perfect number. If I give the another value, it is not a perfect number. From main function, we have to accept a value, create an object, parameterized constructor is there, so we have to give the value there, and then we have to call this method. Let's compile this program. If I compile this program, and first constructor is there, so it's asking for a value. If I give 6 here, and then if I click on the main function as well, in main function also it will ask for a value. If I give 6, mind it, in main function we are creating the object, so if I give 6 there, parameterized constructor is there, directly the value is assigned to this parameterized constructor. That means if you recall, this num became 6 now, and see, it's a perfect number. When if I call this main method also asking for a value, so this is the input one, and if you have a look about this questions as well, main function, if I give 6 here, what happened? You can see in main function directly object is being created, directly the value of this p is assigned to this n is assigned to num is a data members, and we are using this num throughout the programs, even in void check as well. So it's return perfect number. If I give another value from the main function, if I send another value from the main function, like if I send 10, see the input of this parameterized box is 10 here, and now if I compile it, we'll get not a perfect number. In this part, as per ISC, we have to solve this problem using the concept of constructor and as well as recursion also. Let's have a look about the second example. One series is there, x square by 1 factorial, x4 by 3 factorial, x6 by 5 factorial. This is the series, and we need it till n, and sum also there. If you concentrate on this in this program, so first class name, 3 data members are there. Out of these 3 data members, sum is in double. In member functions, first you can find out that 2 parameterize in parameterized constructor, two inputs are there, so we need to assign the value of xx to x and nn to n, and sum also we need to initialize by 0.0. Double find fact int num. Find fact factorial program also be done, but this factorial program we done with int prototype, but here we have to do with double data type. Very small things we need to remember. Because why we need this double? Because when we use this x square by 1 factorial, if this factorial not convert to double, if it is int and as well as x square also int, so when the value of x is given by the user is 2, then what happened? 2 to the power 4. 2 to the power 4 means it is 16. 3 factorials means 6. 16 by 6. 16 by 6 will get 2 only, because both are in integer. So that's why if you concentrate here, the prototype of both the method is being created with double data type and also using recursion. Then void calculate we have to do, and then void display, and from main functions we have to call all this method. So recursion, factorial recursion already we discussed earlier, and this one also we have to do. One sample program already we explained. You have to do this program by your own. Another one is e prime. 3 variables is here as a data members, int, rev and f. E prime int nn is a parameterized constructor. We need to assign this nn to n. Rev is initialized by 0, and this one what I told earlier, that when we create a method to check whether it's a prime or not using recursion, one supportive variable we need, which is being 2 here, and this one is given to the data members. Int is prime, int x. In earlier example of prime number, 2 parameters we are using there, but here we are using 1. So where we'll get this supportive value? We'll get this supportive value from this f, because f is used as a data members here. Then same logic will apply here for int is prime and void is e prime. E prime means number is prime and reverse also prime. So reverse the number and check if the both original number and reverse numbers are prime or not. Void in is prime, we have to reverse the number and we need to check whether it's a e prime or not. So this one also you have to do by yourself. Another one, example 4, which is explain about the happy number. Happy number means 28 is an example of happy numbers. If we separate the digit and square it, and if we add them continuously, one time will reach to 1. See the example of this 28, 2 square, 8 square, 4 plus 64, 68, then 6 square plus 8 square, 36, 64, 100, then 100, 1 square, 0 square, 0 square, it's become 1. So 28 is a happy number and 12 is not a happy number, because 1 square plus 2 square, 4. That means we have to do this process until unless it will convert to a single digit. And if this single digit is 1, then it's a happy number. So class name is happy, data members is n, default constructor is here, so n is initialized by 0, void getNum int nn, to assign the parameters value to the number. That means whatever input we are taken through this nn, this one we need to assign to n. We are not using parameterized constructor here. After that, int sum square of digit, already we done the example of how to add the digit. Only here we need to convert it to the addition. That means square it and add them. If you recall this sum of digit num, that means n mod 10 plus, then we'll call the method itself with n or whatever variable you taken divided by 10. Here twice we have to write. If n is a variable, n mod 10 into n mod 10 plus, we'll call this sum square digit and then x by 10. And void is happy. We have to check whether it's a happy number or not by calling this method. And also we need to define the main functions as well. So recursion, these are the examples program of recursion as concept also. We need to, as a ISC computer science student, we need to create a good friendship with this recursion, because it's help us to solve different kind of complex problem very easily. Regarding recursion, don't create any panic. Simple iteration we are using, and it gives us the extra facilities what we'll not get from the loop, and we have to utilize this concept. And as per ISC syllabus, either you will get one output which carry 5 marks in compulsory part, question number 3, and definitely you will get one questions in section B, and this question will get in form of constructor, and in this constructor problems you will get 1 or 2 method where you have to use recursion. So this is all about the recursion as per ISC syllabus. We try to solve these examples program 2, 3 and 4, and same concept already we explained there. Thank you for watching this video. More example program we'll discuss in next class.